Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Tech Frenzy. Today, we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics: Visa, crypto, all these sort of different companies that are falling. But really, the main topic of discussion is an apology. I've let you guys down. Seriously. We're going to be talking about the official 2025 stock draft, in which the SoFi guy, the man who literally wears a SoFi t-shirt from time to time, did not have SoFi in his top 10 picks. I truly am sorry. First, let's talk about that because it is just an absolute shame. And we can go over why it wasn't on the list. It was, I promise you guys, I wanted it on that list. Okay. I just thought that no one else did. And that certainly was not the case. So the way that this event sort of went about was that out of the 5 different people or teams that were picking stocks, had to go through one by one and pick their companies. Okay. But the order was ever changing of who got to start in the next round. So it always shifted over by one. If you guys notice, this is in order. So this was the first one and then going all the way down for our picks. I actually got first place. I was allowed to pick the first company. Now, I knew that out of everyone, definitely Steve or Amit were going for NVIDIA for their first pick. So with my great draft, I decided to take NVIDIA away from my competitors. Okay. I would have loved to get Amazon or Meta second or something like this that would have also have been great picks. However, like I said, there was a shifting order. So even though Amazon was a second round pick, Matt was actually able to go before me because I was first in the first round, I was last in the next round. Okay. So there was a shifting order, a little bit confusing. Anyway, you're going to see here that my next pick, which SoFi was still open for, I did end up picking Nubank. Now, I understand. If I could go back in time, I would pick SoFi. I was under the impression that Steve, Amit, Chris, these were not fans of SoFi. Now, Matt also, however, he has purchased SoFi in the past, currently has a $500 bet or something like this with Tevis that it will not actually go to $25 over the next 12 months. Looking at his picks, he was trying to pick a lot of companies that were looking for doubles. So it was in my understanding that he actually didn't believe in the short-term future for SoFi. So I didn't see him as competition for taking SoFi either. So I did actually get through 3 picks of names that I do have high confidence in. I did, want these businesses and SoFi, but I wanted SoFi as well. But Matt ended up taking it. He was actually picking between this or ASTS. And I was, if we go back to the video, I was harping on him to take ASTS because my next pick was going to be SoFi. If I could go back in time, obviously I would pick SoFi probably second. I still would pick NVIDIA first, but I've let you guys down and it's a true shame. And I apologize. But yeah, so I don't know. Matt and I have until Monday. We can still trade stocks. Okay. The first company that I think I would give up that he potentially also wants as well, because I can't just give him, the worst company that I have on my list, would be Shopify. Okay. Hopefully he ends up taking the trade. I'm going to bug him all weekend. But yeah, I've just absolutely, it was a true shame. It was a true shame. If you guys didn't actually see the VOD for that draft, it was a ton of fun. Got a little slow on the back end with the voting, which, by the way, I got voted out first, meaning people thought that my portfolio was the worst out of all of them. I could not disagree more. Personally, I think Amit's is the worst. I mean, he's purchasing nothing but the most expensive companies, and the companies that he does have in there still, like Apple, JP Morgan, Grab, Visa, I just don't think we're going to see a lot out of those companies over the next 12 months. So I don't know how he survived the draft or survived the voting of sentiment longer than I did, but who knows? I obviously, as you guys can see, have built that portfolio very similarly to how I build my own, which is focused around artificial intelligence and fintech, which is exactly what we talk about here on the channel. I think I actually had the highest overlap around my actual portfolio to the draft, which was 6 out of the 10 picks are actually can be found on my real portfolio. So yeah, silly. SoFi got smoked today. Let's talk about that. That's exactly what we're moving on to. We are going to make this an actual news story. I'm not just going to harp on my sadness. I've been kicked. Everyone's making fun of me, and I just wanted to come out, guys. I had full intention of picking SoFi, full intention, but I thought that I could be a little greedy and pick it lower down the list because the other contestants were not going to see the value that I saw in it. Turns out I was wrong. So don't listen to these guys whenever they're talking crap about SoFi and then they pick it in their draft early on. Yeah, Matt. Okay, Matt, please, bro. For my own sake, for this entire community's sake, what do you want? Do you want Shopify? You were a little interested in that business? I'd love to take SoFi off your hands. Let's see if we can make a deal, Matt. NVIDIA for SoFi? I'm sorry, guys. I had abandoned the community at that point. Now he's saying SoFi is easy money. This is the man with an actual, like, real dollar bet, $500 betting against SoFi. Now, we might have $1,000 betting on SoFi now, but we'll see. Come on, Matt. Yeah. I wanted SoFi the whole time. I just thought I could be greedy about it. I wanted to pick names that other people found interesting as well. So yeah, that was a little bit of what I wanted. Matt, yeah, 3.5K is better than 500. Yeah, that's true. I understand. Okay, let's jump into some news. And to understand why SoFi is potentially down, by the way, I'm going to have to bring up because my title still talks about me apologizing. So 20 minutes from now, whenever people join in, they're going to be very confused as to why I have let down the SoFi community. That being said, we got hit with a couple big pieces of news. First off is a potential acceleration in stablecoin adoption. And this got hit very hard because of an article here that takes two of the largest commerce brands in the world, Walmart and Amazon, and they say that they're exploring issuing stablecoins. Now, this is a clear choice for them to do, lower the costs that they're paying out to these massive payment networks. Whenever you're a company that brings in potentially trillions of dollars of total payment flow, and you're losing potentially 2% on the other end, to reduce that 2% cost is actually a very large piece of the entire Amazon.com revenue stream, right? So of course they're going to be exploring this. And then whenever you start going down the line of different businesses who are also trying to do this, you have Shopify not just exploring, but like actually implementing in checkout today USDC payments across select Shopify merchants. Now they're going to be rolling this out throughout the rest of the year, but stablecoins are coming. Now it's very important to realize the relationship between these, two amazing men on screen here, Tobias Lutke and Brian Armstrong, because they actually have a very close working relationship. Toby is on the board of directors for Coinbase. Okay. So of course they're going to be putting on stablecoins on Base, which is the layer 2 of Ethereum for Coinbase, which they run, and they help use USDC, and Circle pays out a large percentage of the total transaction fees over to Coinbase. So that's how they make their cut. It all goes back to lowering transaction fees, trying to increase the security of those payments as well, make them 24/7. And you know, return a little bit back to the merchants, which is at the end of the day killing a lot of small businesses. I mean, as much as credit cards and debit cards have actually increased conversion rates, which has, made small businesses explode, people get greedy and they want to even reduce the 3 or 2% costs on top of the massive conversion rates that have been enabled by these new payment rails. Now, an interesting part too with what's happening with stablecoins and PayPal's trying to be all over this, and you'll have conflicting answers about how great they will be during that time. Obviously, they're trying to do it. They're a little bit different, right? Because they own the actual user, they own the customer. These types of places will do much better than potentially what just Visa or Mastercard will do, which actually really give up user data to the the issuers of their cards to be a real selling point for them is the security, privacy. We're not going to bug your customers. They're your customers, but we want a small transaction fee. Now, there's a bunch of other things that have been happening around Visa and MasterCard, which I'm also not too big of a fan of. These companies are cash cows. Like, they just make so much freaking money. So you're not going to find a lot of like multi-$100 million businesses that have 60% margins that are just continuously going without much real disruption. Visa and MasterCard are their own duopoly. Very hard to enter that market. Maybe you can say Amex or whatever. And we'll talk about Amex here in a second. But one thing that's really bugging them is the stablecoins, but also pay by bank. Now, another way of saying that of pay by bank is A2A transactions, which means account to account. Doesn't touch a network. Now, this is also growing quite quickly. If you've ever used Link by Stripe, which is their one-click checkout, you can find actually a list of banks, and you can just select your bank, log in, and then confirm the transaction. The bank makes a small fee and doesn't actually end up touching those networks, and it just goes directly from Stripe to the bank account. The money's transferred instantaneously. So those types of transactions also threaten Visa and MasterCard's network as well. But, Visa and MasterCard are still processing tens of trillions of dollars. They're going to be around for a long time. But markets are forward-looking, and if there's any potential deterioration in their future business, stocks go down. And that's why I think at the peak today, Visa was actually down 7.7%. Now, let's talk about a card that actually doesn't deal with MasterCard or Visa, potentially offering better cashback than any of the other cards that we've taken a look at. Better than SoFi's, better than Robinhood's 3% cashback. I'm actually talking about a different one. What is this? What is this? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if that didn't give it away already, what card is this, eh? A Coinbase One card. So this will be a card for the Coinbase One users, offering a 4% cash back, and it's all going through American Express's network. Now, I actually think that's pretty obvious. I mean, if you're going to offer higher and higher rewards, you kind of have to go with the network that's charging the most. But 4% cash back going all the way. Actually, sorry, I shouldn't say cash back. It's Bitcoin back. But yeah, so you're getting crypto, 4%, whether you want that crypto or not. I mean, you can sell it for fiat or whatever you want. But it's a pretty outstanding offer. The only problem is that Coinbase One is a pretty expensive premium membership. I think right now it's at $30 a month, and then the upgraded version is $300 a month. But for the people that are there, I mean, it could make very sticky users out of them and offer a card that, I mean, just goes straight to top of wallet. There's not something else that you would prefer over 4% cashback on every purchase. It's pretty stunning. So there is a lot of talks that, crypto is going to continuously see a pretty good year. We saw Tom Lee actually just recently say that he thinks Bitcoin is going to go to 150,000, maybe even 250,000 by end of year. This bodes well for companies like Robinhood or potentially even SoFi if they can get back in the game in time. But Coinbase as well. That's why I put it on my draft. And they're going to benefit a ton from this USDC enablement, whether that is through Walmart or Amazon or even just Shopify, which Shopify is guaranteed. I mean, they're already doing it. So, but the interesting part about the sell-off that we saw was on SoFi side. SoFi ended up dropping, I think near the end of the day, roughly 10%, 4.5% at the end of the day. And I think that it's completely bogus. One, there's a lot of geopolitical things that make people scared about the entire market in general. And companies that have higher betas will sell off in general just because that's the way people want to subvert the risk. But it doesn't mean that U.S. credit is necessarily affected by, international wars that are potentially happening. Now, on the stablecoin side and everything like this, SoFi is also insulated away from that risk because they own the customer. This is one thing that I always try to harp on so much. Banks, even better than fintechs, own the user. Okay? Meaning that as certain systems change from potentially debit to credit or online payments with cards to pay by bank transactions like account to account, or even stable coins coming in rather than any of the other solutions that we just talked about. SoFi always plays a part in the customer's role. And even if crypto starts booming like crazy, you're seeing a lot of fraud and hacks, even with people on their own wallets, and people don't really feel that protected, even whenever they try to follow all the procedures. I mean, customer hacks and stuff like this is just way too risky. So I still believe, even in a world where we're all using our own wallets and everything like this, that banks are still going to play a big part because people need insurance and protection. Anyone could store cash under their own mattress and feel safe and not have to pay account fees. The reason why people pay account fees is because they don't want to be responsible for their own money. They want to point the finger and say, this person owes me my money back because I let them have it. And I think that'll be the same with crypto as well. Even a lot of the really big crypto people as well, like in the space, also believe some level of custody will play a role as well. Let's see some of the questions or anything along these lines. Yeah, no dividend, please. That would be a terrible idea. You don't get, so in an ideal world, dividends seem great. But if you look at companies that are paying extremely high dividends, the day that they pay those dividends, the stocks usually fall. And the reason that is because where are they paying these dividends from? Is it just money that shows up in your account? No, they pay it out of their cash balance. So if you have a payout ratio that's extremely high, right? Every single time that they pay that out, their cash balances fall. And so you hope that they have a steady enough business or a business that, just continuously replenishes that cash balance to then pay out the next quarter and the next quarter after that. SoFi is consistently using their cash balance to grow faster. If you want to create a dividend that lowers their cash balance, you're lowering their growth. Okay, same with a buyback as well. I would love a dividend and a buyback if it came for free, but it doesn't come for free. It comes from their resources, and their resources are used to grow. Okay, so absolutely not. I don't agree with that. Dividends lower book value. No, thank you. But SoFi has not grown that much compared to the hype. Okay, they're growing at 30+% rates. Name another financial institution that's doing that for you, especially ones that are offering you a dividend. You can say that they're not growing based on whatever you think, but that doesn't make it true. Hood. Yeah, Hood. Where's Hood's dividend? Show me Hood's dividend. That's another company that's not going to offer a dividend. How come Chime has a higher valuation? Heck if I know. But you know what? I think that the market is smarter on this play. Like Circle doesn't really have any comps. So, the stock can continuously pump higher and higher. But Chime has very clear comps. Like you can look at Chime and SoFi and see that Chime is more expensive, and then you can read the rest one and determine whether or not you think that their slower growth and worse margins deserve a premium. Okay. The market had clearly had a very big pop, and the IPO market has been hot, hot, hot. But already in the following days, you're seeing sell-offs from, them running up to like up 65% from IPO. But Hood has at least grown more than SoFi. Yes. Yeah. But they have a valuation that marks more than SoFi. You can determine that from Rule of 40, any of their margins, their revenue growth rates. So whenever you say, as much as the stock is hyped, SoFi stock is not hyped. Let's take a look at what's Hood's most recent year-over-year, revenue growth rate. Let's try to find all this information. Then let's find their price to sales. Like, let's see. Robinhood's price to sales is, well, that says back from March, it was 12 times. I don't even believe that. That's probably much lower than what I thought it was. I thought it was closer to 18. Where the heck? Why can't I find it? Well, revenue growth year over year for Robinhood was 50%, not 30, 50, at higher margins than SoFi. And I can't seem to find their thing, so I'll just find it on like... I could just divide it out, but I'm just trying to be lazy, and it's actually turning out to be even worse. Here, one sec. Still loading. Yeah, they're at a 20 times price to sales. 20. So that is a hype stock, but they deserve it, Hood up 87% year to date. I can't control the markets. I'm trying to buy companies that haven't moved yet. That's why I'm continuously super bullish on SoFi, is because I think that they deserve to be priced higher. But just because a company is not being priced higher today doesn't mean that I'm wrong. Like, the markets can be irrational. They can be wrong. It's why Warren Buffett by the way, SoFi's price to sales 4 times. They're on a revenue perspective, which Robinhood is growing faster, but by 20% or whatever, is being priced 5 times higher. But also because they have better margins. And the part where I think the valuation doesn't line up is that the volatility of Robinhood's company is just way too high. Like, if crypto does go down, if there's a winter or something like this, that company goes back down to like 40. Okay. If Bitcoin goes down to whatever, or we have some sort of student loan moratorium or whatever, SoFi probably won't even drop that much. Like not at all. Hood will move with crypto. SoFi is holding gains just fine. Yeah, 100%. Robinhood is literally moving with crypto, which is very interesting. But that's good. That's a good thing. Like, if it does go up to 250,000, as this super ultra bullish Bitcoin people are stating over the next maybe 24 months or whatever, I'll be very happy with my choices of still holding Robinhood stock. I hope that SoFi plays a role in that by offering crypto solutions, but there's not a whole lot of potential that SoFi is going to go down quarter over quarter on a revenue base, and Robinhood is. Yeah. What gets me is that Robinhood has more debt than SoFi, right? No, I don't think that's true. This title made me click, and I apologized. I am truly sorry to you guys. I really am. It's not clickbait. I do apologize. I said I didn't pick SoFi in the draft. I should have. I don't regret picking NVIDIA first. I'd do that 100 times out of 100. But I thought no one in that draft was going to pick SoFi, and I could have picked it much later than I did. And for that, I apologize. SoFi Weekly tonight. The FinTech Friday is tonight. Yeah. Same thing. I mean, we're going to be talking about a lot of SoFi, the fireside chats and stuff like this. It's definitely going to be a big topic of discussion. Danny, you're forgiven. Thank you. Yeah, I picked Nubank second. FinTech Friday, but we'll talk about NVIDIA, right? Potentially. I think it's going to be a lot of Invest America. So SoFi, Hood, some of the other institutions. We're going to be talking about robotics, robotaxi, maybe some general macro news. We could always get around to NVIDIA, but I've been covering NVIDIA like crazy on X, just some of my thoughts on it. Yeah, I wanted AMD as well, not because I'm a super believer in AMD, but because I wanted to be heavy into AI. So I think I also got ASML and I also got TSM. Everything is pointing to more and more demand. So I've got no qualms about picking all those names. SoFi is a long-term granny shop. Buy it, add to every paycheck and enjoy it at 50 plus in 3 years. I mean, there's definitely a possibility that it gets there in 3 years, but there's also a possibility that it doesn't as well. But yeah. Okay. Let's see here really quick. Okay, we covered all those topics. Oh, I did want to say, because there was additional talk about, stable coins and everything like this, who is going to benefit. Let's not forget that Anthony Noto has had crypto and stable coins as well on their list. So there's no doubt in my mind that Galileo is not working on these products. But back in March, whenever Howard Lutnick was looking for more government efficiency and they were asking for different solutions for social security programs and all of these things. Anyway, we can be the one-stop shop for all financial services needs, all treasury payments, all social benefit payments, digital wallets, and a SoFi stablecoin backed one-to-one by US dollars with interest and much, much more. How could he possibly make a claim like that without him researching heavily into these types of products through Galileo? I mean, come on, we're already working with one government agency through Galileo. Who knows what's to develop even past that? But yeah. Is this stream live? Yeah, I mean, if you hit the live button right there, you'll go live. Or I don't know where it is. I think it's somewhere around here. It's like past the time and then there's a live button. I think that's on PC. I don't know if you're on your phone or TV, but yeah, this is live. Hence also your comment popping up right here. Yeah, so funny because a lot of people I saw in the Discord like posting their top 10 picks for the draft. You have to realize, like it's not my top 10 favorite companies on that list. I also saw some people picking a top 10, and like your names weren't even on the list. We could only pick out of 120 selected companies. And then of that, there would be a lot of companies that I would want on there before my other picks that I had chosen, but they were already picked. Of course, I want Google and Amazon over the next year. I mean, these are amazing companies, but the By the time I had my second round pick, Meta, Amazon, Google, like those were all first round drafts. So, we look for other names. And I am a big believer in the short term for Nubank. Obviously, a long-term believer as well, but over the next 12 months, I'm a big believer in Nubank. It's way too cheap right now. We're looking at like some of the lowest valuations the company has ever seen. And I've held that company in the $3 ranges. I'm telling you guys, the company has X'd, multiplied their amount of earnings since then. They're like a 19 times PE. I could be wrong. I think Amit's going to come last place. Every name that he picked is at sky high valuations. And while I also think that Robinhood is going to do very well over the next year, like I would have liked it over Coinbase or something like this, but like Palantir, what is it going to double? Anything can happen, but I mean, like, what are you buying at? Like $137 a share? Every company he bought was a very expensive business. Why are they priced so low, says Steve? Nubank is just has currency headwind, right? You're pricing it and you're looking at this company in US dollars, but they don't operate in US dollars. So whenever you're operating in a different currency and then converting it for accounting purposes over every quarter, you have to take that hit each and every time. It's not an actual financial hit, but it's just monitored as a financial loss. But it's not actually. The company's doing fine. In fact, they're actually doing phenomenally. Price target for new. I think conservatively, what I want to see in the draft for the next little bit is that Nubank gets at least to $17 a share. If it's a great quarter for them, if they actually see currency tailwinds, I hope for somewhere around 19, 20 bucks. I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, they don't deserve the valuation that they're currently getting. So that's why I put them on it. I don't even think Unity was even on the list. And Hims got selected by Steve, I think. I'm not a fan of new. SoFi will end up global and smoke them. Literally not a chance. I bet all my money against it. Nubank, and I'm sorry to say this, they are the most efficient fintech company the world has ever seen. I think you could put Ant Group up against that, something like these, and even then, still, I put my money on Nubank. It is the most effective team the world has ever seen in financial services. They've been around for like 11 years, and they're like the second largest financial institution. It's insane by customer count. It's insane. They have so much room to grow. Their loan to deposit ratios are still low. They're like less than 40%. Their competitors are at 90%. They're like, the runway is forever long. Didn't Berkshire sell new? Yeah, but I don't care. He also sold all the plain stocks, like the bottom of like, just because what he does doesn't determine what I should do. He's also cash, like stacking cash like crazy. I'm also not doing that. Why are you not 50% NVIDIA and not 50 on new then? What do you mean, Sagig? Are you saying my portfolio should be 2 names? Is that what you're saying? Uh, if that's what you're saying, there's margin of like risk and that things might not pan out. So I always want to stay around 14 names. I don't think I'm going to try to ever go below that. Um, I want a bunch of different companies. Uh, you know, I add to Nubank whenever I can, these sort of companies, and I was aggressively adding whenever it was much lower than where it is today. But um, yeah, no, Nubank is so different stock versus company. Whenever this is a factual comment. Whenever you look at the growth that Nubank has put up, not just stock based. There's valuation concerns that you can put on that. Their price to book is like higher than what normal financial institution companies would normally get. But on a company basis, they are the best growth. It's just sheer numbers. They were doubling consistently. They have 120 million customers. It's been 11 years. There's just not. I'm sorry, but SoFi pales in comparison. But the valuation doesn't. You look at a company that's priced at like 7 price to book versus 2. Well, the other one better be, 3.5 times better. But yeah. Have you ever looked at Equitable Bank? Well, that's a bank. What am I apologizing for? Go back. Go back to the start of the episode. I buy the business model and the leadership. SoFi has both. Alan, how much do you know about Nubank? Because it sounds like none. And I'm not trying to be aggressive or offensive or in any sort of way, but like they share business models. The leadership, David Velez is like one of the most successful people in all of Brazil. Like he's a mega, I think his net worth is in like the 11 digits. The leadership of that team is actually far more prestigious than SoFi's. I'm not saying that to take away from SoFi. I love SoFi too. I do. I need to research Nubank. I know nothing about them. They're almost exactly like SoFi. They offer checking accounts, credit cards, invest accounts, personal loans, you know, secured loans for different types of purposes, mortgages, all these different types of products. So whether they partner for businesses for that or build it in house, they're a phenomenal business. What's what's News biggest risk? Brazilian currency? Yeah. Yeah, Brazilian economy, I'd say. Yeah, they offer telecommunications. If you could choose all your picks, Tanner, what would it be? Um, I'd like to get you a more refined answer. I would probably go through the list and see, but like I'd like to think about it. Who's Tanner Manson? That's me. I'm Tanner Manson. I'm a guy that likes stocks. Um, yeah, I don't want to do it off the top of my head. In case that I change my mind. How undervalued is new? Well, I just told you what I think the stock price is. I think it's probably deserving of like a 17, 18, $19 price range right now. In the same respect, I also think that SoFi should be over $20 right now. So, yeah. Anthony Noto hopefully brings back crypto sooner rather than later. They have a lot of actually, ladies and gentlemen, in 5 minutes, I got to make sure that I do this correctly. I'm literally jumping from live stream to live stream. So right after this, probably going to end at like 10, and then we'll just start the next show at 10. So Tevis, if you're still in the chat, be in the next thing, and then we'll just jump right in. He's always picked SoFi whenever pressed between SoFi and New. Yeah, I mean, that wasn't always the case. Whenever Nubank was like, $6, $7, I was buying that aggressively, and I wasn't adding to SoFi as much. So there's been times whenever I've been betting heavily on Nubank and not on SoFi. And there was actually a period of time where the market value in my portfolio for Nubank exceeded SoFi's, but that's not currently the case. I like your videos. I'm appreciative of them. Thank you. How come no one selected Tesla until round 3? I mean, probably valuation concerns. I think that Tesla is a very, I would almost put it near the guaranteed category for companies that will do well in the long term. But can you guarantee that the company is going to do well over the next 12 months exclusively? And now for people that say, yeah, but robotaxis right now. Yeah, the whole market knows that. No one doesn't know that that's happening. And from what we know about robotaxi is that the original date was June 12th. Now it's June 22nd. There's potential talk that it's going to be June 28th. So if there is any potential impacts, that could affect the valuation in the short term. Now, it still got picked, but I wasn't going to pick it, to be honest. For the next 12 months, I'm fine. Am I still holding New? Yes. Why does Noto get so worshipped? Because he's won in every macro environment. That's why. He's literally done well in every environment. Have I talked about Circle's valuation? Not too much. I think that stablecoins are just the biggest commodity you could ever think of. Like, I can't think of a bigger commodity than stablecoins. If Walmart and Amazon have the technology to issue their own, or go to Paxos, or any of these other businesses to help issue these stablecoins, what does Circle offer exclusively? We already have multiple players in the stablecoin space. We've seen payment networks come out and adopt their own, like PayPal USD. I just don't see the valuation there. Seems like it's growing pretty quick. Or sorry, like the valuation is growing pretty quick. Meh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to go live again, but I have to switch streams over to another one. So I'm going to end this stream and then immediately start another one for the FinTech Friday show, where I'm joined by amazing special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate your time, but I'll see you over on the next stream. Bye for now.